All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving into some seriously dark territory,
Oh, yeah.
the world of Gothic literature.
My favorite.
And specifically, we're going to be talking about why its characters are so messed up. I mean, fascinating.
Right. Like they're so compelling.
Compelling, yeah, like
Yeah,
you can't look away,
absolutely.
even though you kind of want to.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, don't do that.
Don't go in there,
Yeah.
but you have to
Yeah.
see what
Yeah, you're
happens.
totally hooked.
Hooked, exactly.
It's that moral ambiguity that really gets you.
Ah, yes, moral
The
ambiguity.
good and evil aren't always so black and white. You know?
Oh, that's such a good point. Because it's not like those old fairy tales,
Right.
where it's like, oh, here's the good guy and here's the bad guy.
Exactly.
You know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, the good guy's gonna win.
Yeah, exactly.
And the bad guy's gonna get what's coming to him.
But in Gothic lit, it's so much more.
Yeah, way more complex.
Well, and I think like it kind of reflects real life a little bit more.
Absolutely. It's like real life.
Because, you don't meet a lot of people who are just like pure evil.
No, not usually.
And like no one's a saint all the time either.
Right. We all have our moments.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got this awesome excerpt, and it really gets into this whole moral ambiguity thing.
I love this excerpt.
And it talks about a couple of characters who are like the poster children for this idea.
Oh, yeah, the classics.
Victor Frankenstein
Of course.
and Heathcliff.
Oh, man, Heathcliff, what a character.
What is it about these guys that makes them so compelling?
Well, I think it's that they're driven by these desires that we can all relate to, you know?
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It's like Frankenstein's scientific curiosity.
Yeah, like that's a good thing, right? Like science
Yeah.
has given us so much.
Right. I mean, think about all the advances we've made because people wanted to understand the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Heathcliff, well, he just wants to be loved.
Yeah, who doesn't want love and acceptance? It's a basic human need.
Seriously.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Oh, okay, I'm listening.
It's how they go about achieving those desires.
Okay, yeah, it's not always pretty.
Not always.
So, like, both of them are starting from a place that we understand. Frankenstein's pushing the boundaries of knowledge,
Yeah,
which, like we were just saying, has led to a lot of good things.
exactly.
And Heathcliff, he just wants to belong somewhere.
He wants love. He wants a family.
Yeah, he wants a connection,
Yeah.
but then things go sideways.
Yeah, Gothic literature loves to explore those dark turns, you know?
So what happens? Like, how do their desires get so messed up?
Well, it's all about how those desires are influenced by their circumstances, you know? Societal pressures, personal trauma.
Oh, I see.
Like with Heathcliff, all that injustice he faced.
Yeah, he was treated terribly.
It warped his need for love into something much darker.
Yeah, like his cruelty. It's almost like a defense mechanism.
Right. It's like a twisted response to the pain he's experienced.
And Frankenstein, his ambition.
Yeah, his desire to unlock the secrets of life.
That could be seen as like a reflection of our own scientific progress.
Absolutely.
But the way he goes about it,
It's a cautionary tale.
yeah, it's like he's playing God. And we all know how that usually turns out.
Right. And you know, his story really makes us think about the ethical implications of what we're doing.
Yeah, like just because we can do something,
Doesn't mean we should.
right? Like maybe there are some things we should leave alone.
Yeah.
It's funny though, right? Because we kind of sympathize with Frankenstein, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, he's got that tragic hero thing going on.
But he's the one people call a monster.
Right.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
I mean, I guess he did create a monster.
He did. But who's the real monster here? That's the question Gothic literature asks.
Ooh, that's deep.
Is it the creature who just wants acceptance?
Yeah, that's a pretty basic need.
It is.
Or is it Frankenstein who abandons his creation because it's not what he expected?
Because it's ugly.
Yeah, because it's different.
That's the brilliance of Gothic literature. It blurs those lines.
It makes you think.
It challenges our assumptions about who's good and who's bad.
So it's not about judging these characters, right?
Right.
It's about understanding them.
It's about looking at the why behind their choices.
Yeah, like what led them to this point?
It's about recognizing that even good people can make horrible mistakes.
Especially when they're under pressure.
Exactly. When their desires get all twisted up by their circumstances.
And Gothic literature is like the perfect setting for this kind of exploration.
Yeah, with all the shadows and the haunting atmosphere.
It's like it's reflecting the darkness inside the characters.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's not just about the individual characters either.
What do you mean?
Well, Gothic stories often highlight the problems within society itself, you know?
Oh, yeah, like the decay and the corruption.
Exactly. It's like the setting itself is a reflection of the character's inner turmoil.
So you think Gothic literature is trying to teach us a lesson?
I think it's more about making us confront uncomfortable truths,
Oh, interesting.
like about ourselves and about the world we live in.
Yeah, it doesn't shy away from the dark stuff.
Nope, it dives right in.
It's like it's saying, hey, look, this is part of human nature too.
Exactly. Both individually and collectively.
And it makes us think about those gray areas of morality.
The parts we don't always want to acknowledge.
And it's not just the classics either,
Right.
like Frankenstein and Wuthering Heights.
Oh no, it's everywhere.
I mean, think about all those unreliable narrators.
Yeah, the ones who can't be trusted.
It's like half the fun of Gothic literature is trying to figure out what's really going on.
Totally. Are they lying on purpose or are they just delusional?
Right.
It keeps us guessing.
And on the edge of our seats.
And it makes us examine our own biases, you know?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, why do we believe this character but not that one?
Yeah, what makes us trust someone?
It's all part of that moral ambiguity.
It really makes you think.
It does.
So if you were on the jury for Frankenstein's trial, knowing everything we know about him,
His intentions, his failure.
yeah, could you condemn him?
That's a tough one.
I mean, he did create a monster,
He did.
but he was also trying to do something good.
Or so he thought.
Yeah, so it's not so simple.
Not at all.
It really makes you think about the nature of justice.
And accountability.
Yeah, like who's ultimately responsible for the consequences of our actions.
Especially when those actions have unintended consequences.
So everyone listening, here's the big takeaway.
The big takeaway.
Moral ambiguity is like the secret sauce of Gothic literature.
It's what makes it so delicious.
Yeah, it gives us these characters who defy easy categorization.
Like Frankenstein and Heathcliff.
They're not just good or bad.
They're both.
Yeah, they're complex.
And so human.
And it challenges us to look beyond those surface judgments,
To dig deeper.
to understand what motivates people.
And what happens when those motivations go astray.
Gothic literature embraces the darkness.
The darkness in.
Darkness in the world.
And it asks us to confront it.
To see it for what it is.
And maybe to learn from it.
All right, before we go, one last thing to ponder.
Hit us with it.
If you could sit down with either Victor Frankenstein or Heathcliff,
Oh, man.
knowing their whole story,
All the good and the bad.
yeah, would you judge them or would you try to understand them?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the shadowy world of Gothic literature.
Until next time.
Keep those lights on, folks.
Yeah, you might need them.